Brought to you by Parliwomen. Parliwomen in Session is a series of conversations with female leaders and advocates. We discuss history, current affairs, and opportunities with the aim of providing awareness on issues that affect women's participation in the Malaysian political sphere. Hello, my name is Anis, and today, in our very first session, we kickstart with a glimpse into Parliwomen from our very own leaders, Felicia and Jey. We'll walk through the history of the organization, the interests of our leaders, and the future of Parliwomen as it strives to raise political awareness among women. So before we start, let us understand who are our leaders and let them introduce themselves. Could we start with Felicia? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Felicia Ooi. I am one of the leaders of Parliwomen. So just a little background about myself. I am 22 this year. I recently completed my second year of LLB and I'm currently on a break before continuing my third year.
Right. Thank you so much for the introduction, Felicia. Let's move on to Jey next. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Jey, and I am the project co-leader of Parliwomen alongside Felicia for 2022. I am 21 years old, and I am currently a final year law student at Taylor's University.
All right. Thank you so much, Jey, for that introduction. And thank you so much to the both of you for being here with us today. So there are a few parts to our discussion in a glimpse into Parliwomen today. So we'll start first with the history and the present moments of Parliwomen. So some would argue that the name of an organization could either make or break the organization. And I guess it's the former for Parliwomen. Could you share about who came up with the name of Parliwomen and what is the significance of the logo?
So the name of Parliwomen was created spontaneously over our first Zoom meeting last year when puns were being brought up in the call and the name Parliwomen immediately stuck. So I think from the name itself, it's pretty self-explanatory that Parliwomen is a combination of the words parliament and women. As we seek to encourage women's political participation, we thought this is a name that will make an impression to the public about who we are and what we advocate for. As for the logo, it was designed by Jane, our previous designer, to reflect our initiative's values and personality. We used a thick sans serif font, clutched to reflect the energy of women being bold and confident in voicing out their opinions and perspectives. And if you notice, the letter R and M in our logo are connected to each other because we want to empower women to break glass ceilings in the political arena, which has been dominated by men over the years. So to all the listeners out there, if you're curious about how our logo looks like, feel free to check it out on our Instagram or LinkedIn.
I see. Thank you so much for the explanation, Felicia, because I think it certainly is a name that sticks to the audience very well. So today, Parliwomen has a variety of initiatives to assist girls and women alike in understanding politics better, which is amazing. In the past, what was the vision and the idea of the founders behind the establishment of Parliwomen?
Well, the founding members of Parliwomen realized that in order to address the issue of severe underrepresentation of women in Malaysian politics, we need to do more than just creating awareness and educating the public. We wanted to empower women to enter the local political sphere using practical, community-centric approaches such as capacity building workshops. This is why we came up with the Camp Politic initiative, which is a series of workshops designed to foster an interest in politics among girls and women, in addition to equipping them with the necessary soft skills for them to enter the local political sphere. Our workshop series in 2021 consisted of topics like civic education, empathy, public speaking, and critical thinking, which are all important soft skills to possess if one is to get involved in politics. And in addition to empowering, we also post infographics on current issues regularly on our social media so our largely female followers could keep up to date with what's happening in our country.
All right. Thank you so much for that sharing, Jey. I think Parliwomen is indeed an organization with very bold objectives, and it clearly shows in the initiatives that we have been organizing thus far. So would you say that given your early explanation of your aims, have you achieved your aim? And given recent political developments, is the aim still constant or has it changed in present day?
I would say that recent political developments have been very frustrating. During the last Johor elections, there were only 37 female candidates as compared to 202 male candidates contesting. That's almost 85% of male candidates. And to say that I was disappointed would be an understatement, to be honest. But on the bright side, the number of female candidates in the recent Johor elections was more than the 14th general election in 2018, which saw only 28 women candidates. It is an improvement, but it's not enough. Almost half of the Malaysian population consists of the female gender. So personally, I would like to see that kind of representation in our elections and the parliament. So I would say that Parliwomen has not achieved our aim, sadly, because women are still so severely underrepresented in Malaysian politics with very, very little improvement.
I agree with your sentiment, but I think certainly there is a way forward, and Parliament has been consistently paving the way forward for more women to participate in politics. So I'm excited to see the improvements in the upcoming general election as well. So before we conclude this part of our session, perhaps Felicia would want to answer this. What is your favorite event and series of Parliament, and how do you foresee this event to evolve from what it is now to what it could be in the future?
My favorite event has to be Camp Politic. It was our pilot project, and we were really amazed to see the overwhelming response we received last year. And if there's one thing that Camp Politic has shown me, it is that the younger generation today, especially the young girls, are really passionate about learning more about local politics and making a change in their community as long as they're given the chance and the platform. And to answer your second question, I definitely foresee Camp Politic to be Parliwomen's flagship annual event. This year, with the new board of directors, I am excited to see how they will be able to provide fresh ideas and perspectives to the existing structure and syllabus of Camp Politic this year. So to our podcast listeners, do stay tuned and keep a lookout for the announcement of Camp Politic 2022 on our social media pages.
Right. I'm sure that the podcast listeners are also looking forward to Camp Politic as well. So, understanding the history and the present initiatives that Parliament has, let's also understand what are the motivations behind our two leaders here today. So, I'm interested to know for both Felicia and Jay, how did you get started with involving yourself in politics? Perhaps Felicia would like to start first.
So, to be completely honest, growing up, I had never been interested in politics. Like many youngsters, I'd always thought that politics had nothing to do with people like me and that it was too complicated for me to understand what was going on. So, it was until I went to college that I slowly realized that politics actually affects our everyday lives because governments implement policies that have social and economic impacts on all of us, such as wages, taxes, healthcare, and even education. So that was when I started paying more attention to the local political arena to keep myself updated. Although not directly, but I would say that the first time I got involved in politics was when I joined Parliament last year, as I worked with the team in project planning, implementation, and coordination to advocate for women's political rights. I became much more politically aware than before. And being politically conscious is so important in helping me to navigate my values and beliefs so that I can always have my own interpretations and know where I stand on certain controversial subjects and issues in today's society.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing, Felicia. I think that's very inspiring. How about Jay?
Similar to Felicia, I first got involved in politics in 2021 with Parliament. My classmate reached out to me because she needed volunteers for an advocacy project she was planning to start, which is Parliament, and I agreed. Before joining Parliament, my involvement with politics was minimal, to be honest. I did keep up to date with the current happenings in our country, such as the general elections, but that was as far as I went before Parliament. It was with Parliwomen that I truly started getting involved with politics, although not directly.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing as well, Jay. I think a lot of girls could relate to that because not many people know what they can do within politics until they get a platform to do so. And I think Parliwomen provides just that right platform for a lot of people. I think something that we would be very interested to know more about is, if not for political awareness, what other social causes would you consider starting an organization for? And perhaps you would also want to share with us as to why you would want to pursue those social causes instead. Perhaps this time around, we can switch it up a little bit and start with Jay instead.
Well, this is an interesting question. This isn't exactly a social cause, but I think I would love to start an organization to promote constitutional literacy to the general public. In law school, constitutional law is one of my favorite subjects, and I came to appreciate just how important the federal constitution is to every Malaysian citizen. And that's why I would like to disseminate information on this very important document to all Malaysians.
I see. I think that's a very interesting social cause indeed. How about Felicia? What would you like to pursue?
Personally, I've always been interested in advocating for education equality, as I genuinely believe that, every student should have an equal opportunity to education, regardless of their race, gender, and background. And it is really disheartening to see how the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated an already unequal environment for education. Just take the example of Viviana, the Sabah girl who had to climb a tree just to get an internet connection to take her exams. I think that clearly shows the inequality of educational opportunities between the rural and the urban areas of the country. And speaking of education equality, I really look up to local organizations like Solidarity Pendidikan and Rakan Tutor. In my opinion, I think both of them have done an extremely great job advocating for better access to education. For example, Solidarity Pendidikan provides a one-stop platform for both students and teachers to share and advocate for issues about the nation's education system. And Rakan Tutor, on the other hand, offers free tutoring programs for underserved SPM students to overcome learning loss during the pandemic.
Thank you so much for sharing, Felicia. I think both of the causes mentioned by Jay and Felicia are very interesting causes indeed. And we do see a lot of organizations tackling these causes. So thank you so much for sharing what are other things which piques your interest. So next question. What do you personally hope to achieve while leading Parliwomen? What does Felicia have to say about this?
Personally, I hope that our team will be able to achieve our vision of promoting gender inclusivity in politics and our mission of educating young girls and women to enter the local political landscape via our two-step strategy, that is raising awareness and empowering. It's definitely not an easy task, I would say, but I believe that it's not impossible with the right support from all the team members.
How about Jay? What do you personally hope to achieve?
Personally, I would love to see young girls and women confidently getting involved in the local political sphere, be it as a voter, active member of a political party, or a politician. I hope that via the various community-centric initiatives that we are planning to organize, our followers and participants would be able to acquire important soft skills necessary for them to get involved in the local political arena.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, both of you. And I think it's definitely something that I'm sure both of you would be able to achieve while leading an organization which is as motivated as Parliwomen. So moving on to the final part of this podcast, of this session today, which is on the future of Parliwomen. So to both Jay and Felicia, do you have any advice for people who want to get started in political participation but are not sure how? Perhaps we can start with Jay.
For starters, there are many types of political participation, and all of us probably have taken part in some of them at different points in our lives, knowingly or unknowingly. One of the most important forms of political participation is voting. Some of our listeners may have already voted in the recent Johor elections, and it is speculated that a general election will be held this year. So if you are keen to participate in politics, do go out and vote in the next general election. Apart from voting, activities like attending a town hall meeting, writing to your local councillor, signing a petition, and protesting are other examples of political participation. For young people like you and me, perhaps the most interesting way of participating in politics is by joining an activist or interest group. Joining an activist or interest group would help facilitate civic engagement on important issues faced by our community, and this may lead to political change. The most popular example of this would be Undi 18, which started off as a student movement, and after years of relentless effort, the Undi 18 bill was passed unanimously in the parliament to allow 18-year-olds to vote.
Thank you so much, Jay, for sharing your advice with our listeners. How about Felicia?
I definitely agree with Jay that voting is one of the most prominent forms of political participation, where you're given the power and the chance to decide on the quality of life you want for yourself and your future generations. Apart from that, I think another great way to get started in politics is to do an internship with a political party or a politician, because that's when you have the golden opportunity to participate in political events and discussions and gain first-hand experience and insight into the workings of an MP or ADUN.
All right. Thank you so much, Jay and Felicia, for your advice. So just to summarize what Jay and Felicia have shared with us in their answer, we could exercise our form of political participation by voting. But aside from that, we could also attend activities like town hall sessions, writing to local councillor, or even joining certain interest or activism groups, or participating in internships with political parties particularly. So all of these are things in which our listeners could probably look into and try to see if it's something that would pique your interest and something that would be able to make you understand more about what role do you want to play in local politics. Before we end, I'd just like to give this opportunity to our leaders here. Would you like to share any upcoming events that could benefit young girls and women to be more politically aware and active?
Yes, right now our team is working on launching Camp Politic 2022. Similar to our very first Camp Politic held last year, there will also be a series of 4 online workshops designed to foster an interest in politics among young adults. However, as mentioned by Jay just now, this time around we will revamp the syllabus to cater to those who are 18 or above. For now, I can't reveal much yet, but rest assured, it's definitely an event that will benefit you a lot in equipping you with the soft skills and knowledge you need to enter the political arena. So to those interested, stay tuned and don't miss the opportunity to join us this year.
So I hope our listeners caught that and are very much interested to look forward to what exactly will be happening in Camp Politic this year. There will also be a lot more events organized by Parliwomen. So do take your time to go through our Instagram and see what would fit best with all of you. So with that, we end our first episode on a look into Parliwomen. I would like to thank Felicia and Jay for spending their time with us in this very first session. And to those tuning in, remember to follow Parliwomen on Instagram and LinkedIn, where we share information and updates on our latest endeavors. So if you have any insight or input on what you'd like to hear from us next in Parliwomen in Session, our DMs are always open. Until then, stay tuned for the next episode and thank you for being with us here today. Thank you, everyone.